enjoy the show. 3 to get ready, nowhere to go. Why you look so mad? Why you feel so blue? Give way, give pay to the ink machine. Okay, here's part 2 of 2 for the Bendy and the Ink Machine, or Batim Theory 2AU thing that I had decided to do. And the premise is, like, the first video is Henry is a ghost? And this one, part 2, will still be like Henry is a ghost, but we'll be discussing that as an AU. Okay, I just had to get my notes right here. I know this looks blank, but that's because I'm showing you the back. So, I'm going to read over what I have. Bendy and the Ink Machine AU, Ghost Henry AU. Storyline. Henry died at Joey Drew Studios. He not only came back per Joey's request, but he also died before by Joey's hand. The ink demon Bendy killed him for reasons unknown, and in connections with the dark rituals that Joey started to use, turning him and other workers at Joey Drew Studios into monsters. Although as Dark Bendy, he intended to do the same to Henry, he was unsuccessful in corrupting Henry or Henry's soul, so he could become one of his inky pawns. Unbeknownst to Henry or Joey/Evil Bendy, or Susie/Evil Alice, or Wally Franks, or anyone else, although I'm still partial to the theory that Wally Franks is Boris, but we'll get to that later. That's still up for debate, because I don't know if they're ever going to cover that. Henry is dead, and as a ghost, is trying to end the demonic inky menace of the Ink Machine and the dangerous devils worshipping at Joey Drew Studios. Only then will he truly know he's a ghost, and eventually be able to move on. Now, the idea is that Henry's soul cannot move on till one of two things happens in this EU, just to cover that little last part. One, till Joey Drew Studios kind of becomes safe again, I guess you could say. That the ink demon and nothing else is running the workshop in a devil's worshipping frenzy. And 2, until he stops the devil's worship. And 2, until he himself feels like he can move on from purgatory trapped at the old studio. So, all characters and relationships in this AU. Here we go. Henry, the only ghost at Joey Drew Studios. He is also the only former employee/business partner of the studio that was not corrupted by ink or demonic practices involving the ink. Susie Campbell, or Evil Alice, a former voice actress at Joey Drew Studios. Alice Angel was voiced by her. When the role of Alice was about to be reassigned to Allison Pendle, Susie broke down. She began to get extremely jealous. However, not long after, she and Joey went on a date, which seemed to have gone well, as Susie said, "He even called me Alice, and I liked it." One could assume that this may have been part of Joey's plan to corrupt her via the ink machine. However, one way or another, Susie Campbell was corrupted by the ink and became the very warped and twisted version of Alice Angel. Joey Drew, or Dark Bendy. Joey Drew, Henry's old friend and major creator of Joey Drew Studios, as well as Henry's murderer, Joey lived a fairly vivid life in which he was often ecstatic and always developing new ideas and creating new stories. Very eccentric, in fact. However, not long after Henry left the studio, Joey discovered that he had a serious and deadly disease. A disease that would eventually make him completely wheelchair-bound, well before it killed him. Eventually, this directed him to do the very thing that any self-respecting and sane human would do. He turned to the books on demonic rituals and things of fantasy. He saw himself as as one step away from it anyway, due to already having a dancing demon and an angel with and an angel with horns in his cartoons. As he worked on his own rituals involving the ink he worked with, he was often asked questions or complained at a lot. This didn't bother him though. He made up perfect excuses which allowed him to dance around the questions flawlessly. He even managed to pick out his own Alice Angel. However, he and Susie had a falling out when he finally told her his latest ideas. Eventually, he got his creation to work and then sharing it with the whole of Joey Drew Studios. All except for Henry, of course, whom he is still trying to corrupt despite his death and lack of physical body. Sammy Lawrence, or Random Ink being, the former music or songwriter for Joey Drew Studios. He is one of the first to get annoyed with not only Joey's antics and changes to the studio, but it could also be found yelling at Wally Franks. Sammy was also the one of the first to be corrupted by Joey and the ink machine. As the ink began to twist his mind, he began to praise the evil Bendy, aka Joey Drew. Not long after he captured Henry, he was reduced to a puddle by Joey Drew and is currently thought to be dead. And I'm going with the game, so. Norman Polk, the projectionist. Norman noticed strange happenings around the beginning of his work at the studio. He would often sneak around in dark areas to discover things. Too bad he didn't discover Joey's secrets before it was too late. He began and he became an inky version of himself with a projector for a head. A literal projectionist. All right, last page. Woot. Wally Franks, the janitor at Joey Drew Studios, he had many audio logs, but no one really knows what happened to him. Some say he's a wolf,